Hello from rainy Seattle. See, rain's coming down. But I wanted to come on here to talk to you about my new video series that I'm going to do on Insta that's called Behind the Scenes of a Real Estate Agent, namely, basically me. And I thought about this because not only, as every real estate coach, marketing, brand strategist will tell you, video is the wave of the future. If you're not doing video, you're going to get left in the dust. And that's just not real estate. That's any kind of business that you're running. So you have to be on video. Video is super, super important. And I'm already doing videos, not as much as I should, honestly, but I'm always on, people already kind of have it behind the scenes with my Insta stories. But, perception is reality, and what I'm posting is true, but it's not the full picture. I was joking with an agent, or not an agent, it was a lender that I had coffee with in November, and I'm like, shit, if I was going on my Insta stories, and I didn't know anything about me, I would be like, does this person actually work? This person's like the Real Housewives of OC. She's always posting. She's in a coffee shop, or she's on an airplane, or she's, like touring around Seattle, and I thought, and then I was thinking about that, because my friend, who's now a real estate agent, she came to surprise me in Seattle, and she said, I have to apologize. When you came to visit me and you were working on your laptop, I didn't really think you were working. I was like, what does she actually have to do? Because she's not in California, because at the time I was only selling in California. And now she's a real estate agent. She's like, man, was I wrong? And she's like, now I totally get it. Because here I am in Seattle and I have all this work to do. And so then that's what really made me think, man, I need to do a video. I need to do a behind the scenes video of day in the life of a realtor and what we actually do. Especially since, I think about when I got in this business in 2008. It is starkly different now than what it was in 2008. Now we live in the era of mobile, a global tech driven economy and a mobile world where everything is done on our phones. And, I think back to 2008, we had an online system for our contracts, but we still had paper contracts. Oddly enough, or funny enough, I should say, I actually wrote my very first listing agreement on the hood of a car. It was a short sale. It was getting ready to go back to the bank, or it was a notice of default. Was about ready to go to auction, was about ready to go back to the bank. The guy was desperate. I was door knocking, knocked on his door, and I said, I could stop your auction. If you sign today, I could stop the auction on your house. He's like, great, where do I sign? I didn't have a computer. I just went to my car. He followed me out to my car. I got a paper contract out of my trunk. He literally signed the listing agreement right there. And to this day, I don't know why we didn't go back inside his house. I don't remember why. That was so many years ago. But paper contracts don't exist anymore. We do everything online. And I also remember, with banks, with short sales, they wouldn't accept electronic signatures. Escrow companies way back when wouldn't accept electronic signatures. So you either had to meet the person in person to get things signed, or you had to you had to be where you could go to an office, because you had to scan the documents, and then they would have to print them out somewhere, and then they'd have to sign, and then they'd have to scan it back to you, and then you'd have to print it, and then you'd have to scan it and send it off to the bank or escrow or whatever. And so when I look back at my life in 2008 to 2014, 15, I was in the office a lot. Pretty much every day I was in the office, and then I was always with the client. I never had a client buy a house sight unseen. We didn't have Facetime. And so, or really wasn't prevalent. And so, now, I started thinking about it, in 2018, I sold 4 homes sight unseen, meaning not necessarily sight unseen, but where they weren't physically present. I was Facetiming them. I've done several home inspections where, my clients didn't want to have to come out to the property just for a home inspection. So I FaceTimed them for the entire home inspection. And I'm seeing this more and more as a trend. And, clients, I had a client this past year that called me and said, hey, do you want to get your ass on a plane and come back to Southern California and come list my house? And I said, well, do you want me to bring another real estate agent in? And she said, why? And I said, well, and so you have boots on the ground, someone local. And she said, well, you're here once a month. And, she's a former realtor. She's like, most of the work you do anyway is behind the scenes. She's like, can't you just have other agents do open houses? And I said, yes. And she's like, yeah, then, don't bring anyone on. I'm I'm like, okay. And so, you know, I had a lockbox on the property, and if I had buyer leads, you know, I would give those out. I had other agents do open houses for me, but it's just interesting because I feel like that would not have been possible even just a few years ago. So the consumer has changed too. You know, I had a buyer in 2018 that, you know, knew I was traveling a lot, and they didn't need me to be the one to show them the property. They just wanted to get into the door. So just like the consumer mindset has changed. And, you know, and I also thought, you know, in 2018, I was, you know, used to be when I go to Europe a lot. And when I used to go to Europe, it was always nerve-wracking because I really had to have someone watching my business full time, being in place for me, because I didn't have a data plan. Data was super expensive. You know, I couldn't call people. It was very hard to call people, and, you know, Wi-Fi was really rare. So it was really hard to run a business from abroad. So it was always really nerve-wracking. And now it's, you know, my last few trips to Europe, it's been like business as usual. You know, I was on a cruise ship twice in Europe, where I had an unlimited Wi-Fi package. So I could, you know, I could do my daily prospecting and do my daily follow-up. And on my last cruise, you know, it was crazy. In 2018, I'm sitting in the middle of the Mediterranean, no land in sight. And I thought, oh my God, it is so crazy with technology, like how far we've come from just, you know, a few years back. Like here I am sitting in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea, no land in sight. And yet it's like as if I'm right in California. I'm, you know, Facetiming people. I'm, writing contracts, and I opened an escrow, and, you know, I was hitting my daily prospecting numbers and my follow-up, and, you know, it was like business as usual. And yet I'm sitting on a cruise ship, and, you know, that's all thanks to, you know, now you have unlimited Wi-Fi packages, and I have free unlimited data with T-Mobile. And so it's just so funny, you know, how far we've come. And I have a DocuSign app on my phone, and I could write offers on my phone. And, you know, like recently when I was doing a lease, I didn't even have to do any paper pushing. Literally everything was done by my phone. So it's just amazing how far we've come. And I wouldn't even be able to work in 2 states, you know, if it wasn't for how far we've come with technology and the way consumers are today. So, you know, to me, it's just fascinating and amazing, like to see the transformation from where we were at when I got in this industry in 2008 and where we're at now in 2020. So, hope you enjoy this video series of behind the scenes. And if you're thinking of getting into real estate, this gives you a better idea of what it's really like. And if you're not thinking of getting in the industry and you're just a consumer, you know, hope you enjoy watching and you can see what, you know, what it's really like being a real estate agent. And, of course, if you have any questions about real estate, feel free to reach out to me. But on to the first episode. So what do I do when you see me at a coffee shop? What am I actually doing? So this is what I do when I'm sitting in a coffee shop. And here we go. Bye, guys. On to episode 1.